A single transfer window can make or break a club season. Club owners pay millions of dollars for the best performing players, hoping to get the ultimate signing. For the most part, transfers are great, except the times when the biggest players turn into complete flops after putting on new colors. From the Brazilian angel to Real Madrid's worst nightmare, here are the 10 worst transfers in football history. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ricardo Kaká. It's almost criminal to put Kaká on the worst list of anything, but hear us out. A brilliant attacking midfielder with grace and power, the youthful Brazilian was one of the best players of his generation. He was the last winner of the Ballon d'Or prior to the reign of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and that made him the most expensive player at the time. He joined Real Madrid in 2009 for a whopping 67 million euros, but it soon became clear that his prime years were behind him. His first 2 years at the Bernabeu were hampered by injuries, during which Mesut Ozil replaced him on the roster. It was first a temporary move, but Ozil impressed Jose Mourinho, Real Madrid's manager at the time, so much that Kaká was practically sidelined. This resulted in Kaká making a few temporary appearances, and he later returned to Milan in 2013. It continues to be one of the biggest transfer flops in football. Fernando Torres. If you were to write down every negative comment made about Fernando Torres since he broke the British transfer record in 2011, you could stretch it from this point to the sun. The saddest part is that aside from supporters of the team he was playing against week in and week out at Liverpool, no one on earth hated Torres. On the surface, grabbing one of the Premier League's most potent strikers from rival Liverpool on deadline day for £50 million appeared to be an unbelievable feat for Chelsea. However, Torres was never able to replicate his success at Anfield during his ill-fated time with the Blues, and at the time, that turned him into a villain in the eyes of his own club. To be fair, Torres did score 45 goals for Chelsea, including the goal that guaranteed their spot in the 2012 Champions League final, but he never registered more than 8 goals in a Premier League season at Stamford Bridge, and was a shadow of the elite striker he was at Liverpool. Angel Di Maria. 13 years after signing Juan Sebastian Veron, Manchester United once again broke the British transfer record in 2014 when they grabbed Angel Di Maria from Real Madrid. Everyone believed that after a stellar season with Real Madrid, Di Maria would solve all of Manchester United's issues at the time. Di Maria had a strong start to the season after signing for a record £60 million. He collected Player of the Month and Goal of the Month awards for September, but after experiencing hamstring issues in October, he lost his form. In January, Di Maria made a comeback. However, his performance was below par. Even in the media, Di Maria was referred to as one of United's worst signings. It got so bad for Di Maria that he had to pack his bags again and leave for PSG. Romelu Lukaku. Chelsea have had many shocking moments over the years, especially in transfer windows. Torres was a huge letdown, but Romelu Lukaku is the player who truly steals the show. The Belgian powerhouse in 2021 was purchased by the Blues for £97 million. The 29-year-old scored just 8 Premier League goals last season, meaning each of the goals he scored cost the club £12 million. That's a little insane, isn't it? Having only cashed in on Lukaku back in August, Inter were able to loan the striker back for next season for a mere £10 million. If you're Inter, it's a terrific piece of business. However, Chelsea isn't the only team with a dubious transfer history. Andy Carroll. Next up, we have the pride of England, Andy Carroll. Suarez actually believed that when he joined Liverpool in January 2011, he would be joining the club to team up with Fernando Torres. The two would have been a legendary strike force, but the football gods weren't done with Liverpool's banter era. Instead of Torres, Suarez got Andy Carroll, who joined on the final day of the winter transfer window for a staggering £35 million. Liverpool mysteriously decided that the relatively inexperienced Newcastle United striker was more valuable than any player they had ever paid for. Naturally, injuries prevented him from playing frequently at Anfield, but even when he did play, his scoring record was dismal. After 18 months with Liverpool, he'd eventually sign for West Ham. Eliakim Mangala. 2014 was when the transfer window changed for the better. Or worse. Costing a mind-boggling £42 million, Mangala could never live up to his price tag at Etihad, but he might have at least given it a go. On his second league outing, he scored an own goal and conceded a penalty to throw away a 2-0 lead against Hull, while a couple months later he suffered his first sending off. Things never really recovered from there for one of the Premier League's most expensive ever defenders, who was replaced by Nicolas Otamendi and left on a free in 2019 after a couple of loan spells. Kepa Arrizabalaga. Following Thibaut Courtois' departure, Chelsea panicked and paid the maximum release clause of £72 million for 23-year-old Kepa Arrizabalaga. This was 6 months after Real Madrid came close to signing the talented Spanish goalkeeper for almost £20 million. Chelsea's acquisition of Kepa, who cost a record amount for a goalkeeper, raised eyebrows which weren't lowered by his horrendous displays. Although he excelled throughout the Blues' run and victory in the Europa League, his league performance never lived up to the price. Statistics about how poor his save percentage was circulated online during this time. Things then dramatically worsened following Maurizio Sarri's incident in the League Cup final, where he resisted being replaced. He was probably the Premier League's most expensive bench player going into the 2021-2022 season. Shkodran Mustafi. It was certainly strange when Arsenal opted to take a chance on Shkodran Mustafi in the summer of 2016. After he had struggled to establish his worth at Everton, Sampdoria, and the Valencia over the course of a 7-year period. The fact that the London club spent at least £35 million to lure him into the Premier Leagues made the situation even more absurd. Although he had a promising start to his tenure at Arsenal, contributing significantly to the team's 17-game unbeaten streak, the same concentration problems and the frequent errors that dogged his time in Italy and Spain started to surface more frequently. Along with a decline in form, Mustafi also started to sustain frequent injuries, which forced him to be regularly sidelined from the starting 11. As soon as Mikel Arteta joined the team in 2019, Mustafi's form got even worse, and he eventually left the team in January 2021 after finding it difficult to earn consistent playing time under the new Arsenal boss. Philippe Coutinho. When FC Barcelona spent £142 million on Philippe Coutinho in January 2018, they believed they were getting a superb player to complement Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi, as well as a suitable replacement for Neymar. Barcelona, however, was unaware of what they were getting into. In actuality, Coutinho was a colossal failure at Barcelona, never quite finding his form and delivering the goods. The Brazilian was incredibly unpredictable on the pitch and fell flat when his team needed him the most. On top of that, Coutinho was the club's most costly acquisition of all time, and even the majority of the money from Neymar's sale went into his purchase. What's worse is that he was later sold for only £17 million to Aston Villa after his failed stint at Bayern. Eden Hazard. At the top of our list, we have Chelsea's Eden Hazard, who was brought in by President Perez to replace Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid. The truly bizarre thing about Hazard's signing at the Santiago Bernabeu was that Madrid could have easily waited a year and obtained Hazard for free. However, they opted to pay £103 million for the player, with add-ons driving up the price to £135 million. The Belgian scored just one goal during his debut campaign in the Spanish capital, which did little to lower Madrid supporters' anger towards him for showing up to preseason 7 kilograms overweight. He was even seen laughing with his old teammates after Chelsea knocked Real Madrid out of the Champions League semi-final. Hazard has scored 6 goals at the club, meaning each goal has cost Real Madrid over £20 million. What's worse is that Hazard has made 66 appearances for the team, and he's spent most of his time being sidelined due to persistent injuries. At this point, he's challenging Gareth Bale to be the club's least popular person. Which transfer do you think was the worst in football history? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.